It's amazing that a plank of wood solved all the problems for my family and myself. We have Oliver, who's 9, Harvey, who's 7, and Erin, who's 2.
Thank you, Harvey.
Oliver has a condition called tuberous sclerosis, which is a genetic disorder resulting in tumours in any organ of the body. And in Oliver's case, he has them on the brain and on the right kidney. His physical skills are fine. He's got no physical difficulties at all. But his mental difficulties mean that he's a danger when he's out. And so he needs to be restrained in a buggy for his own safety. It became more of a problem going out with all 3 of them by myself. My husband worked shifts, so quite often it was just myself and the 3 children. So what I really needed was some system whereby Oliver could be safely restrained in his buggy, but I could also have Erin safe as well, and Harvey with me too.
Erin, if you can move out of the way now, please. Yeah? Oh, thank you. That doesn't normally work. Okay, I'll just measure.
Demand is a small organisation of 11 people that makes equipment for disabled people when they're on the shelf. The point I should make, which is most important, is we don't charge for the equipment for individuals.
And this thing would fold up, would it, normally?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
85% of the projects that Demand deals with are those that meet everyday needs. The sort of thing we're talking about here are mobility, sitting comfortably, sleeping comfortably and safely. Now, the other 15% are largely providing a chance for disabled people to... One of the things that we try and do is to get away from the traditional medical look. A lot of equipment that has been produced traditionally for disabled people labels the person as being disabled. What we try and do is to design something that's got style, something that says, I want to use this piece of equipment. What we've been very fortunate in being able to do is to attract some craftsmen with very high-level skills, typically, but not exclusively, skills that have come from the aerospace industry, such as British Aerospace, Rolls-Royce and companies of that calibre.
So that will enable the buggy board to, you know, ride over rough ground or irregular surfaces or over bumps or whatever.
Thinking about the aerospace industry, you might be working on a project for 12 years before you see the end result. Here, in 12 hours sometimes 12 weeks, we have a tangible product that's going to help a real family overcome a significant problem.
Is it spring-loaded?
Yeah.
And they go in and out like that, yeah?
Okay.
What happens is you just push one in there like that, push the other one in there like that,
All right, yeah, I see.
and that fits in.
It's got the black spots are actually textured, so her feet can't slip off, and that hadn't occurred to me that that might happen.
The surface of the road. Yeah, no problem.
I didn't even know there was a solution to my problem, but when it finally came, when it was there, and she liked it, which was the biggest thing, it was wonderful.
Hi, Erin. That's it. Oh, fantastic.
Stand up then.
Hey.
Go. Like ordinary baby. Wonderful. Basically, it's freed us enormously. I could take them out. They're much happier and I'm much happier.
Hi, my name's Karen. I work at Demand as a student. This old chapel is where we make the prayers of hundreds of disabled people come true. The stained glass windows mask a frenetic scene inside.
Years ago I worked at in the defence industry at Marconi's, where basically you made things for injuring people, whereas now I'm making things to help people who have got disabilities. There's a lot more satisfaction in this one than there was in the previous job. The things we make here are made basically for people who would otherwise not be able to have them, because equipment for disabled people is so expensive to buy. It's all tailor-made to their particular requirements. But this way, as a charity, we're able to make things and give them away to people for perhaps a small donation or whatever, so that they can then carry on and obviously have a better quality of life than they would normally get. And it makes it very satisfying in that way. Now this is a floor sitter for children with cerebral palsy. It enables them to sit down and take part in activities with able-bodied children. Plastic sheet goes inside the frame of the machine, the clamp comes down to clamp it in position, heating elements are then pulled across, which warms the plastic sheet. Timer is set for 5 minutes. As soon as it's at the right temperature, we push the heaters away, raise the mould and apply the vacuum. Release the clamps. And here we have a floor sitter ready for finishing.
Here at Demand we have requirements to help many children. It gives them an extension of their lives in many cases. I'm David Smith. I became involved as a result of a potential donor asking me to appraise the organisation before providing some money, which I did, and eventually they asked me to become a trustee, largely because of my engineering background. Recently we had a little boy, Kenny, who had a heart defect and found it terribly difficult to breathe, so much so that he had to carry an oxygen tank around. And we were asked to produce something which, in trolley form, to allow this to be manipulated around the house. And the student we had working here came up with the idea of making it fun as well as a practical solution to the problem. This bus housed the tank inside, and it enabled Kenny to perambulate round the house and not have these tubes hanging everywhere. Regrettably, young Kenny died just before we delivered it, and these are things that happen occasionally. He was in a serious condition. However, having said the disappointment with Kenny, out of the many solutions we find, most of them are successful.
This is the car that the charity designed for a local school to take part in a race at Goodwood. There were about 60 different schools in the race. However, the school that we helped were the only ones with children with physical disabilities. And we came, I think it was 26 out of about the 65 schools or so that took place, which was a great achievement. The car's been specially designed so that the front windscreen lifts off like this, and this whole control area lifts up so that a child can be hoisted in. And what's special about this car is that all the controls are here. There's 2 brakes here behind the steering wheel, and you can also see that also behind it there's tiny responsive accelerator buttons that you can just control with your fingers, which is very good for children with weak grip. And then obviously you've got the steering here as well. Here you can see the battery panel, which is just attached with Velcro, and inside you can see 2 batteries. We have 4 for the race because the race actually lasts for 6 hours, and we've got a huge trolley that just plugs into these points here, and these batteries are on runners which just pull out, and you can have a quick changeover for that. The school asked us for. These have just been designed on Photoshop and then been printed onto plastic discs, but in fact behind here is just a normal caliper style bicycle wheel. A lot of these children are in wheelchairs and think that they're never going to get the chance to drive, but because this has been designed with all these manual controls, it's great. When you're sitting there on the day, you see the children really excited and gearing each other on, and for them to have the opportunity to drive is just really great. When you see them go around smiling, you can see that it's a one-off opportunity and they're really getting something out of it.